I think it's different in a sense that last year we had to build an entire team. This year it's, we do have a pretty good foundation already, just like all the other teams in the league. I think this year we've had a lot more time to somewhat get a feel and a sense for what the league, the pace of play looks like, who has success in the league, what type of player actually, has success at the level of this league, which we had no idea what the level was prior to the last draft. And we've just had more time to be able to prepare and kind of ask questions and, watch NCAA, the World Championship with a different lens than we had before. So it's a little bit different in a sense of the amount of time that we've had to prepare for this. And certainly now we know, we know the level of play of this league and what will bring success and what won't. I think best available is probably where we were going to lean, but obviously always keeping in the back of our mind, the needs that we may have and certainly the gaps that we feel that we can fill and try to build the best possible puzzle for this upcoming season. But, going after the best possible available athletes is only going to make our league better and certainly our team better as well. No, we had exit meetings prior to leaving Toronto or the market, I guess, right after, we lost to Minnesota. And, the consensus of everyone is they want to be back. They want to compete for a spot for next season. I think the group in general, we're really, really happy with their experience in Toronto for the whole season. And they're definitely attached to our market and what we've built. And so I know everyone would love to have a spot on the roster next year. And we'll see what happens at draft. We'll see what happens with the free agency period, and we're going to start building the puzzle for our team next year. Well, we're not going to go into details on Natalie Spooner. I think obviously she was she was open here just recently and put a social media post that she did have surgery. As you can imagine, every time you have surgery, the timelines are a little longer than non-surgical injuries for the most part. So I think we're preparing here with this draft and free agency in the event that she is not ready to start the season with us. If she does, great. If not, we want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence to equip our team with the players and the puzzle that will allow us to be successful in her absence, and we will support her through this recovery period that she's going to go through here, and looking forward to her return for sure, and hopefully it's a prompt one. We have to prepare, like I think with anything that she may not be, so I think we're going to make decisions based on making sure that we have the right pieces to the puzzle to be able to play in her absence in the event that she's not ready to go at the start of the season. For sure. Erica is someone that has done a great job for us this season, and we definitely loved what she brought on and off the ice. All of our goalies, to be quite honest with you, the three were exceptional in a sense of, in the exit meetings, I think Kristen made a comment that, this was one of the best groups she's ever worked with, how well they supported her and pushed her. And certainly they were a really good trio. We're going to go through the draft and see again what's available. We'll see if we are going to draft a goalie or not. We'll also look at free agency, and just like our forwards and our defense, we're going to look at it, what's available, what's everything at the table, and make a decision here this summer once we see what pieces are in front of us. And we would be very comfortable with bringing Erica Howe back, as well as CJ. I think they were great this season, and we really pleased with them. But we also have to look at what's available and also look at the future of our organization. And if we feel that there's a goalie that can help us win next season and continue to bring success to organization, then we'll make the move to bring another goalie in. I think it's a little bit of a mix of both. I think there will be athletes in this draft that bring a lot of talent that will have maybe a longer period to adjust to the pro style. I still think they're probably worth the investment in drafting and working with here and building into the makeup of your team. And then there's athletes that are just, I think, more pro ready, that will have an impact a little bit sooner and that bring attributes that, might not even have served them as well in the college game or the international game, but they'll be we think they'll be successful at the pro level. So it's a little bit of a mix of both. I think it's that's where you get into the debates and how long do you want to invest in certain athletes and where do you think you can bring them as an organization. I believe in Toronto we've got an incredible staff and leadership group put together that I do believe the development and growth of the athletes that come to Toronto is something that we take a lot of pride in. So I believe an athlete that brings talent that needs a little bit of adjustment to the pro game will be well supported and well surrounded with the staff that we have in Toronto, and we'll be able to pull out the best out of them. But I do think some of the athletes that we know already will adapt quicker and their skill set will be a very good skill set with the style of play and the pace of the game at the pro level. Obviously they're also very appealing to us, so it's a little bit of a mix of both, but we certainly have to look at the pro game and who will have success short term and long term in our program, because the game is played a little bit differently than college. Certainly now we have a better understanding of what it takes to be successful at that level. Oh, I think the wish list would be to upgrade everything in some capacity, right? Obviously, we would be looking at, bringing in a little bit more offense to our game, especially as mentioned, if we do have a period of time where Natalie Spooner is of absence, creating a little bit more depth in our offensive game, I think is important, both from the forward perspective, but also the D side. So we will be looking at bringing some D in that can generate some offense from the back end and certainly some offense from the front end, and just creating a little bit more depth. I think we had a great team this year. Loved the makeup of our team, but to be able to have a little bit more depth and to be a little bit deeper, I think even in our bottom two lines, having a little bit more depth and athletes that can eat up some minutes and rest some of our athletes that we're gonna maybe demand a little bit more an offensive threat from. I think that will be important. So there's a little bit of everything I think that we're looking at upgrading. I would assume that would be the case for all of these markets. The game is going to get better and faster next season with this new class coming in, and we've got to be able to compete with those teams as well. So I think everyone's going to be looking at upgrading their entire roster in some capacity or another. Yeah, I took the approach this season because I think of the experience we have on our current staff. I do feel that I could have some absence. I could jump on the road and actually scout myself. So the process of this draft started last October. So I caught a lot of NCAA games. I caught obviously some games at the World Championship this past season.
Yeah, that's right.
I changed my hat a little and took my Hockey Canada hat off and put my Toronto glasses on, if you may, and then looked at the game from a draft perspective. So I've done probably the majority of the lifting, I guess, on the scouting side with just being in those rinks. The good thing with my experience as a general manager of the national team is I have a lot of contacts in NCAA, a lot of coaches that have been part of our program that I trust, that I know they've got a good eye for the game. So I've been picking their brain all season long on who they like, who they don't like to play against, who do they think is pro ready. Those are the types of dialogues that I always have with them. So maybe future wise I would be looking at expanding a little bit in that area and having some help, but for the time being I just felt that it was something that I enjoyed to do. I think something I'm pretty good at, and with the staff that we had in Toronto, I felt that I was comfortable enough letting them be sometimes on their own and me on the road, where I could start looking and projecting for future for our team. So it seems to work for right now. Kind of the recipe that we have. Maybe in the future we'll add some staff to be able to help in that domain. And that's a great question. We are in talks with some European programs that share our philosophies and share our values at the moment. And not that we would enforce an athlete that's drafted by us that, doesn't make our team to head overseas, but having those opportunities in front of them and being able to help guide them in that sense, I think is one critical part of planning and the vision of our organization for future wise. There will probably come a time where there's a little bit more of a structure around our league where we do have kind of that farm system, and athletes that are a part of another team that are developing and growing, so that we have access to those athletes. And we just have to kind of look ahead right now and try to plan out what that looks like for right now. But we are looking at, we do have some discussions and some agreements in place with some teams in Europe to help us out in that area. Well, that's great to hear. So thank you for telling me that. They may be referring to the last, I would say, month or so. I've taken on the due diligence of setting up conversations with the top 50 candidates for this draft. Those conversations were about 60 to 90 minutes. So a lot of time getting to know the athletes a little bit better. But also it was always twofold for me. It was trying to put myself in the athlete's shoes at the moment, and this is, a first time for them where they don't necessarily have much control on the next steps and the next chapter in their hockey career. They've always chosen the schools that they decided to go play for, the teams that they've played for in the past. So to me, it was an opportunity for them to feel as comfortable as possible in this process. And, in the likelihood that they would come to Toronto, I would want them as comfortable with our philosophy and what to expect, and to really feel like they're, already part of our organization. For those athletes that are not drafted in Toronto and are going somewhere else, at the very least, they know that, we truly care about their development and care about where they land. And we wanted to make sure that the process of this draft was a positive one for them. And again, there may be a chance down the road that they come to Toronto through a trade or through free agency. So it was our opportunity to leave a positive impression on these athletes coming into this class of this draft. So a lot of time, but I've enjoyed every single minute of those conversations. And I can tell you that there's some great human beings, not just athletes, that are entering this draft. So this league is going to be in a great position here moving forward with the type of people that are entering this draft. Oh, Philly has she's got an incredibly dynamic style of play. She has an offensive touch that is I don't want to say generational, but almost. I think she's very creative offensively. She's very dynamic. She's a true competitor. Her personality may seem a little bit quiet and shyish, but she's got some killer instincts in a sense of, she's a winner. She wants to score. She wants to pressure. She wants to be the best athlete in the world. And she approaches everything she does off ice, on ice, with that kind of killer instincts and that mindset. So I think she's the full package. I really do. I think she's going to be successful in the women's game for many years to come, just with kind of her instincts, her offensive instincts, and her approach to the game. But, obviously a big fan of Philly and what she's been doing and will continue to do for a Canadian national team. And, whatever team gets to work with her, they'll be very lucky to have her in their organization. Yeah, we can trade draft picks just for this season though, so we can't look ahead and draft picks of the 2025 or 2026 draft season. It's definitely part of the equation, and we'll continue to be in talks with other other markets to see if there is something that fits their needs and our needs as well. I think people, GMs, are going to hold fairly tightly with their draft positions for sure. We're not necessarily in the best position, picking 6th, 12th, 18th, and having the last pick of each round. But if there's something that fits, their needs and our needs, by all means, we'll look to make those decisions. But that is accurate. That is part of the rules. We are allowed to trade draft picks. Yeah, we've been very open and honest with our athletes. That's something that I think is part of who we are in Toronto, and certainly part of our leadership style all across the board. So we've talked to all of our athletes, obviously, before leaving market, and kind of where they stood and our interest in signing them or bringing them back. And some of our athletes, we were very honest in saying that we wanted to go through the draft and wanted to go through free agency, and that we recommended that they too look and shop around at free agency time. And we would come back to them to see if they're part of the puzzle or not moving forward. There's a few athletes that we are in discussions right now to extend their contracts for next season. And so there's the likelihood that we will have a few signing here either just before draft or right after draft. We've been very clear and honest with our 1-year contracts, and we've had an exceptional year, great team. I couldn't ask for a better team, to be quite honest with you. But from an organization standpoint, we always have to look at what's the needs of our organization and have a team first mindset, and making sure that we're putting together the best possible team next season so we can compete and go after the Walter Cup in 2025. I would expect a few signings here in the next few weeks, and then we're gonna kind of see what's on the table and build the best possible puzzle for PWHL Toronto. Well, it's easy right now for me to sit here and say, I wish it was based off of playoffs. The decision was made by the league early on, so we knew that, by finishing first in the league, we would be picking last. It just happened that we didn't end up winning the league on top of it, or the Walter Cup, and a decision had to be made, and it was made, and we were well aware of what position we would be drafting, finishing first in the league, and it is what it is. So we can't go back and now say we're not in the position right now to go back and say we think it should be playoff driven. It is what it is, and with the depth of this draft, we're pretty confident and excited about who we're going to get to pick here as well, even in that position. Yeah, well, I think it's standard across all 6 markets, so I think we're all in the same position, and obviously it dictates a little bit the money that's left for free agencies and for re-signings, but everyone's in the same boat, so it evens everything out. I think it lays a bit of an expectation for the athletes coming in as well of where the floor is in all 3 of those picks, and I think it's standard across the board. So I think we're all in the same boat, and we're going to manage our dollars with these guardrails, if you may, that are implemented by the league, and I think it just makes it standard across the board. So I like the fact that there's some uniformity across all 6 markets.